surrender if the government guarantees that he won't be harmed. Escobar, a ruthless killer, escaped from his own luxury prison when authorities tried to transfer him to another jail. NBC's David Bloom is in Medellin.
Bob Martinez called Escobar a bloodthirsty gangster and said his escape from prison in Colombia yesterday was appalling. The U.S., he said, had been assured the prison was secure. In Bogota, here's ABC's Mark Potter.
A passenger plane climbs quietly into the Colombian sky. A routine flight, a Boeing 727, Avianca Flight 203. Passengers are laughing, reading newspapers, thinking about home. A flash. A violent shockwave tears through the cabin. Metal rips apart like paper. The aircraft explodes midair. Bodies fall through clouds. But 110 people are dead before the wreckage even touches the ground. Among the scattered debris, investigators discover something terrifying. This wasn't an accident. It was a message. A message sent by one man. A man so powerful that he declared war on an entire country. His name was Pablo Escobar. And for years, even the most powerful law enforcement agencies in the world couldn't stop him. What you're about to hear was never meant to be discovered. This is not just the story of a drug lord. It's the story of how a single man built an empire so violent, so untouchable that governments collapsed trying to stop him. A man who flooded the streets of America with cocaine while turning Colombia into a battlefield. But the real question isn't how he built his empire. The real question is, how did he rule for so long? And what finally brought the most powerful criminal in history to his knees? Tonight we open the file on Pablo Escobar. Long before the bombings, before the billions, Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria, born December 1st, 1949. In the small town of Rio Negro, Colombia. His father was a farmer, his mother a schoolteacher. Nothing about his childhood suggested that one day his name would become synonymous with terror. But something inside Pablo was already different. Friends from his childhood would later remember something unsettling. He didn't dream of being a doctor or a soldier. He dreamed of becoming rich, rich beyond imagination, and he didn't care how. By the time he was a teenager, Pablo was already learning the rules of a different world. The world of crime. It started small. Petty crimes. Selling fake lottery tickets, stealing cars, smuggling contraband cigarettes. Nothing extraordinary. Just another street hustler trying to make money. But Pablo had something others didn't. An instinct. A ruthless understanding of power. He quickly realized something important. The real money was not in petty crime. It was in control. Control of supply, control of routes, control of fear. And in the 1970s, a new product was about to change everything. Cocaine. At the time, cocaine was exploding in popularity across the United States. Hollywood celebrities, Wall Street bankers, nightclubs in Miami and New York. Everyone wanted it. Demand was endless. And where there is demand, someone will supply it. Pablo saw the opportunity immediately. What if he could control the pipeline? What if he could become the man who moved the product from Colombia into the heart of America? That idea would turn him into the most powerful criminal the world had ever seen. In the mid-1970s, Pablo Escobar joined forces with several other traffickers, Carlos later, the Ochoa brothers, Jose Gonzalo Rodriguez Gacha. They formed what would become known as the Medellín Cartel. At first, the operation was simple. Small aircraft, hidden jungle airstrips, suitcases packed with cocaine. But the profits were enormous. Within just a few years, the cartel was moving tons of cocaine every month. The United States became their biggest market. Miami, Los Angeles, New York, every city, every nightclub, every street corner. The Medellin cartel wasn't just supplying cocaine, they were flooding the country with it. Money started pouring in. Millions, then hundreds of millions, then billions. Escobar was making so much money. He had a problem most people could never imagine. He couldn't store it all. Cartel members buried cash in fields, hidden warehouses filled with stacks of dollars. Some estimates claim the cartel was earning $60 million per day. Think about that. $60 million every single day. And Pablo Escobar was now the king of it all. But money alone doesn't build an empire. Escobar understood this perfectly. He created a philosophy that would become legendary in Colombia. If politicians cooperated, they became wealthy. If they refused, they died. Judges, police officers, journalists. Anyone who stood in his way became a target. Soon the death toll began rising. Car bombs exploded in crowded cities. Police officers were assassinated in the streets. Government buildings were attacked. Escobar wasn't just a criminal, he was waging war. Against the state, against the law. And for years, no one could. But the story of Pablo Escobar isn't just about violence, because while the government feared him, many ordinary people loved him. In Medellin, poverty was everywhere. Entire neighborhoods lived without electricity, without schools, without hope. Escobar saw an opportunity. He started building houses, football fields, community centers. He gave money to the poor, paid for medical care, helped families survive. Soon people began calling him something unbelievable. He wasn't a criminal. He was a hero. A man who gave them what the government never did. And this loyalty gave Escobar something incredibly dangerous: protection. Entire communities would hide him, warn him about police raids, refuse to cooperate with authorities. He had become untouchable. But while Escobar was building houses in Medellin, his empire was poisoning an entire generation. And the United States was starting to notice. By the early 1980s, American intelligence agencies were tracking a terrifying trend. Cocaine use in the United States was exploding. Cartels were shipping more drugs than ever before, and nearly all of it could be traced back to one organization: the Medellin Cartel. The DEA launched one of the largest investigations in its history. Agents began tracking flights, following money trails, building intelligence networks in Colombia. A name kept appearing in every report: Pablo Escobar. But catching him would prove nearly impossible, because Escobar wasn't just a criminal anymore. He had become something much bigger, and what happened next would shock the entire country. One journalist refused to stay silent. His name was Guillermo Cano, editor of the newspaper El Espectador. Cano began publishing investigations exposing Escobar's criminal empire. Article after article, document after document. The truth was coming out, and Escobar was furious, because if the public discovered who he really was, everything could collapse. Then one night in 1986, Guillermo Cano left his newspaper office. He walked toward his car. The street was quiet, dark. Then a motorcycle approached. Gunshots shattered the silence. Cano collapsed on the pavement, dead. The message was clear. Anyone who challenged Pablo Escobar would die. One of the most powerful drug traffickers in the world was now part of the government. He wore suits, attended political meetings, shook hands with officials, publicly presenting himself as a legitimate businessman. The cocaine empire was growing larger than ever. The illusion couldn't last forever, because eventually someone would expose the truth.